Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, where nothing works, and the most ghetto live stream show on ever is even pulling off the wrong fucking camera this morning. Oh my god. For reals? Alright, hang on, let me fix this. I got more than one webcam, you idiot. Alright, fine, you don't want to work. Alright, here we go. Nope. Still pulling off the webcam on the laptop. Yay! Alright. Welcome to technical difficulties. Yes, it's always something. Wouldn't be a live stream without some sort of technical issue, right? Oh, my computer. I swear to God. Let me see who I am saying good morning to today as I fix my cup. CLD girl, good morning. I got a Mad Panda in the live chat. My lovable Thraxy. I've got Neil and Mitch the Ripper and Jason. So yeah, we've got some stuff to talk about that happened over the weekend. I did a slight survey, or a little survey thing, and apparently there are people out there that an hour live stream is, as long as I'm recapping stuff that was possibly missed over the weekend. Now, unless you were living under a rock in a cave or something to that effect, you guys all know, vicariously or having been there or just being on the internet, that all hell broke loose in Charlottesville, Virginia. And that's going to be the first story we are going to talk about this morning. I can't find anything plastic to stir my coffee with, so I'm going to try and do this real quiet. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. For those of you that were following me on Twitter over the weekend and those of you that were in my Discord, the hardest thing to do with a breaking news story, Australia. Yeah, the hardest thing to do with a breaking news story as it's breaking is trying to get the information together and compiling the information. Some people, damn it, he screwed up everything. All right. Some people try to, who flung poo, $2. Good morning. Good doozy morning to you too. Good morning, Rhetorical. The problem with a breaking news story and reporting on it as it happens is that you don't have all the information. The information is coming at you in bits and pieces, flying at you from all sorts of different directions. You've got to sort through it, corroborate it, correlate it, and make sure that the information is accurate before you report. I saw a lot of people on YouTube, and I'm not going to name any names, doing live streams about Charlottesville, uploading videos about Charlottesville, not even 12 hours after the incident happened. Good morning, Wikipedia. This made the writer in me twitch a bit, because the problem with reporting on a breaking story as it happens is it's constantly changing, so you're either constantly uploading new information or updating it on your Twitter, or constantly coming out with new blog posts up what you have already been reporting, changing the facts because you found out that you were wrong, or, constantly streaming information as it's coming in. None of those things are desirable to me. I like to wait and hang back. Wait a minute, just a second. Yay, bronchitis, there goes along. I like to hang back, collect, and amass information until I get the entire story, or as much of the story as possible. Because there was an accident, because there were injuries, there's still going to be ongoing coverage of this story in Charlottesville, Virginia. Just a fact of life. That's just the way it's going to happen until everything's resolved. The people that have been charged, good morning, Otha. The people that have been arrested and charged or arraigned, and the whole legal process goes through. I know, right? Yep, I actually hit the right button this morning. So with that, I did do a blog post this morning, so some of you that follow me on Twitter have already read the story that I am about to read. For those of you that do not follow me on Twitter or do not have a Twitter and did not look in the promo room, you did not get a spoiler as to the first story this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and read that so I can close that out. Violence in Charlottesville, Virginia. This is directly from my blog. Good morning, Fenrir. All right. Violence in Charlottesville, Virginia. What was supposed to start at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, August 12th, 2017, in Emancipation Park to protest the removal of the Robert E. Lee statue, in fact, started Friday, August 11th, with a rally on the University of Virginia campus for the same reason. Unite the Right's intention was to unify the fractured parts of the right-wing political party. What they meant in this regard was the white nationalist, the Detroit right, the Ku Klux Klan, which are white supremacists and not white nationalists. There is a difference. The distinction has to be made. The Vanguard, who some are claiming is neo-Nazis and skinheads. Unite the Right gathered on the campus with torches and chants of their own. White lives matter, you will not replace us, blood and soil. They were met with counter-protesters and fights broke out on the campus. The altercations which led to arrest started when the opposing groups met at the Thomas Jefferson statue. There was one arrest that night and minor injuries before police broke up the assembly, but it didn't stop there. Nope. Yeah, they're calling themselves the Detroit Right. That's the name of the group, the Detroit Right. And there is a little caveat to the Detroit Right. Apparently, they are using the same symbol of the Detroit NHL group, and the Detroit NHL group is seeing if they can sue them for using their team emblem in a misrepresentation. They were met with counter-protesters and fights broke out on the campus. The altercations which led to arrest started when opposing groups met. Oh, wait a minute. Saturday morning, the crowd started to gather for the official rally, which was planned for noon, and upwards of 6,000 people were expected to attend. There was a problem, however. It would run into problems when the police were trying to get them to leave 20 minutes prior to the start by saying that it was an unlawful assembly. Yeah, trademark infringement. Which would later be found a violation of the First Amendment by a federal judge. Oops. I gotta edit that. But it would not stop what happened next. Approximately 25 minutes after the rally started, the city manager declared a local emergency as BLM and Antifa appeared and skirmishes started to break out. Soon after, the governor declared a state of emergency. Close to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, in a press conference, Trump denounced the violence from both sides, which drew ire from the left. Are we really surprised about that? The First Lady denounced the violence as well. Jason Kessler, the organizer of the event, and Richard Spencer were trying to direct the crowd to leave in a peaceful manner. That did not stop what happened next. An hour later, a silver Dodge Charger registered to James Alex Field Jr. ran into a crowd of people in the street, killing a 32-year-old woman, Heather Heyer, and I misspelled that. I got to go back and fix a couple of things, and injuring others. It is not clear if Fields was associated with any of the groups present. Though some sources claim he is affiliated with Vanguard America, the picture below, the group does not claim James a member. There are also conflicting reports as to whether the woman struck was affiliated with any group. Yeah, I know, Fen. There was a state trooper's helicopter which was circling the event that crashed a few hours after the car crash, killing the 2 troopers within it. Even though several sources link the crash to the event, there is no concrete evidence that relates the crash to the event. Lieutenant H.J. Cullen and Trooper Pilot Burke M.M. Bates were in the helicopter at the time of the crash. 3 people died on Sunday, and a reported 34 people were injured. James Alex Fields Jr. was arrested and charged with 1 count of second-degree murder, 3 counts of malicious wounding, failure to stop for an accident involving a death, and hit and run. As of Saturday, the jailer reports James has not asked for an attorney. The FBI is investigating the possible civil rights issues that has been tied to this accident, and the chief of Charlottesville Police is investigating it as a possible domestic terror attack. More information will be reported as it becomes available. Arrests, we know Richard Spencer was 1. We don't know who the 3rd arrest was. So there were 3 arrests. They are, as far as the civil rights issues are concerned, they're seeing if it falls within the hate crime laws to try James in the matter of a hate crime. And like I said, the chief of police is wanting to investigate it as a possible terror attack. I did the best I could correlating the evidence. All the links are at the bottom of this blog post. The blog post is in the description below, because there's still a lot of conflicting information. Okay. His mother, James's mother, said that James declared that he was alt-right. I would have said die-hearted, the helicopter who flung poop, but that's just me. Yep. Oh, I just got you your new video idea, huh, Finn? I know. It's nuts. All right, my 2 cents on the issue. This has been brewing for a while, guys. Since about 2011, 2012, when Obama was turning a blind eye to the Black Lives Matter, and the argument about the Confederate flag and Civil War monuments were coming to a head, with many southern states putting to a vote as to whether or not state flags should be changed and monuments should be taken down and placed in museums. If you add to this identity politics, the perpetually offended regressive left, and the rise of Antifa, you had a power keg with a long, slow fuse. Putting this news story together was not easy, but sorting through the rhetoric to get to the facts never is. It is still up in the air if the victim of the car crash was affiliated with one of the groups present, or was just there to watch the unfolding events. So, there's my blog post. I got to go back now that I'm a little more awake and edit it a little. And here's some breaking news out of one of my news apps. Bail has been denied for James Alex Fields Jr. Once again, bail has been denied Alex Fields Jr. So I figured I would go ahead and announce that. All right, let's see. Yeah, I know. They're trying to destroy history because it offends them. The problem with history is there's always good, bad, and ugly. And if you don't want to take the good with the bad and the ugly, you're not getting the whole story. I'm going to see if I can... Gotta pause this thing, because I do want to play this. Shish, I'm not ready to play you yet. Chill. Let me see here. Turn this up. All right. Move this over here to see if you guys can hear what he is about to say. If not, let me move my laptop a little bit. Yay! Told you this was a ghetto production. All right, here we go. All right, here we are.
We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides. For a long time in our country. Not Donald Trump, not Barack Obama. It's been going on for a long, long time. It has no place in America. What is vital now is a swift restoration of law and order and the protection of innocent lives. No citizen should ever fear for their safety and security in our society.
No, there is no word, Fen, about if the governor had the police only there to stop the alt-right. They were in full riot gear. I did see pictures and some video footage showing the police in the riot gear escorting the alt-right up a street. However, I haven't been able to see enough video footage to see... It can't be a ghetto production. I have yet to see enough of the video footage to let me know if they were also going against Antifa and BLM as well. Now, some of you may holler at me. Yeah, you're going to have to, because with my little ghetto rig, I'm afraid to play a little too much. So there is that one. You can teach me after the show. Let me see what else. So I still have to look up that. So there may be another article coming out. The one thing that I like is the fact that the federal judge did say that Virginia declaring it an unlawful assembly was unconstitutional and it went against the First Amendment, because it did. They wanted to go there to protest the taking down of the Robert E. Lee statue. So, you know, they were expecting, because there was a posting on one of the websites that I have linked in the blog, that they were expecting Antifa and BLM to show up. But I mean, truthfully, how can you not expect them to show up when they're watching every move you make? And I was able to confirm the presence of BLM and Antifa, not because of news reports, but because I went to the It's Going Down website that Antifa runs, and they were gloating about being there. The Amendment 9 of the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Yep. Exactly. So there's the blog post. Here.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. The Ohio man accused of ramming his car into a group of counter-protesters at a white supremacist rally in Virginia is due in court today. NPR's Debbie Elliott says James Alex Fields is facing charges that include murder.
Fields is set to be arraigned on charges including second-degree murder in the death of 32-year-old Heather Heyer. She was killed when a car plowed into a group of counter-protesters in Charlottesville Saturday. At least 19 other people were injured. Fields, a 20-year-old white man from Ohio, was pictured holding a shield with a fascist symbol before the crash. He's being held without bail on the state charges and is also the subject of a federal civil rights investigation.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there, because this morning I actually found the Vanguard site. The Vanguard site is not a fascist site. If anything, it is a white nationalist site with some ANCAP stuff sprinkled in there. I did read some of their manifesto. Mitch in the live chat was in my Discord this morning as I read it. They're not fascists. They are white nationalists with ANCAP peppered in. That's it. And they have the conspiracy theory that Jews are fucking everything up. So there you have it. That is Vanguard. That the shield that he's carrying and the emblem on it in the picture is a Vanguard emblem. So that's the only thing that I want to correct from that NPR thing. But he is, I'm going to be keeping an eye to see if they release any of the details from the court. No, they're not Nazis either. But of course, I am reporting what I see and what I hear. And the white nationalist group, you know, all these people, yeah, they are still identitarians. I completely agree, Mitch. My whole thing about this entire issue, and we all know this, the KKK started post-Civil War. They're Democrats. Period. The Ku Klux Klan, the white supremacist group, are Democrats. Okay? The skinheads, the neo-Nazis, all these people are more left than right, but the left doesn't want to associate with them, and we sure as hell don't want to claim them. I'm not saying I'm on the right. I'm just saying people on the right don't want to associate with these. Nobody wants to associate with these people. Yeah, they're still Democrats today as well. Exactly. Their views are still radical. Views will always be radical because they stand for, I mean, it's a hate-filled, bigoted movement. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on to the next story. All right, pressure mounts on Trump to address Charlottesville. This is Bedminster, New Jersey, excuse me. As President Donald Trump remained out of sight and silent, pressure mounted from both sides of the aisle for him to explicitly condemn white supremacists and hate groups involved in deadly race-fueled clashes in Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm going to be peppering my opinion all through this, so please forgive me. I love how they say white supremacists, but they conveniently leave BLM and Antifa out of the picture. If you're going to condemn one group, condemn them all. Trump, who has been at his New Jersey golf club on a working vacation, was set to make a one-day return to Washington on Monday to sign an executive action on China's trade practices, but he will likely be unable to escape the questions and criticism for his initial response to Saturday's violence, for which he blamed bigotry on many sides. His Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, said Monday the incident in which a car plowed into a group of counter-protesters, killing one person, does meet the definition of domestic terrorism in our statute. He told ABC's Good Morning America, "You can be sure we will charge and advance the investigation towards the most serious charges that can be brought, because this is an unequivocally unacceptable and evil attack that cannot be accepted in America." In the hours after the incident, Trump addressed the violence in broad strokes, saying that he condemns in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred and bigotry and violence on many sides. Speaking slowly from his New Jersey golf club while on a 17-day working vacation, Trump added, "It's been going on for a long time in our country. Not Donald Trump, not Barack Obama. It's been going on for a long, long time. This has been on a slow burn. The great stuttering of 1622. The White House statement Sunday went further. The president said very strongly in his statement yesterday that he condemns all forms of violence, bigotry, and hatred. And of course, that includes white supremacists, KKK, neo-Nazi, and all extremist groups. Called for national unity in bringing all the Americans together. Virginia Governor Terry Olive, a Democrat, obviously had to be a Democrat, said he spoke to Trump in the hours after the clashes and that he twice told the president, "We have to stop this hateful speech, this rhetoric," he said. He urged Trump to come out stronger against the actions of white supremacists. Reserving till I'm done. Charlottesville Mayor Michael Signer. See, I'm not a journalist. I can't pronounce half the last names that crawl across my screen. A Democrat, again, slammed Trump's stance toward hate groups, saying on NBC's Meet the Press that he hopes Trump looks himself in the mirror and thinks very deeply about who he consorted with. And we all know who he's talking about, right? Old saying, when you dance with the devil doesn't change, the devil changes you, Signer said. Trump, as a presidential candidate, frankly came under scrutiny for being slow to offer his condemnation of white supremacists. His strongest denunciation of the movement has not come voluntarily, only when asked. And he occasionally trafficked in tweets of racist social media posts during his campaign. Really? His chief strategist, Steve Bannon, once declared that his former news site Breitbart was a platform for the alt-right. Oh. Got a cough. Yeah, the bronchitis is bad this morning. Okay. Things that stick in my craw. Come out stronger against the actions of white supremacists. What about Antifa? What about BLM? As a governor, you should look at all sides. He said the hate came from all sides. The violence came from all sides, even though there's mixed reports as to who actually started the altercation. Okay? These people seriously need to get their heads out of their asses. Bueno dia, Lord Cancer. Okay? Yes, he needs to look in his own mirror before speaking about others. I completely agree. Because every time there is a protest, it doesn't matter if who is there is a white nationalist, is a white supremacist, is a neo-Nazi, what have you. It can be a regular group of citizens not affiliated with anything having to do with any kind of supremacy or nationalism. If they show up in a protest or rally for free speech or to defend something, Who's going to show up? Antifa. Who else is going to show up? Black Lives Matter. Okay? There's no winning with these people. There's nothing Trump can say to make sure everybody agrees with him, because he's not the one they wanted in office. So it doesn't matter who he condemns. If he would have condemned Antifa and BLM, oh my God, the regressive left would have had a field day with that. The conservatives would have said, well done. If he would have come out against the white nationalists, the KKK, called out Vanguard and all those other people that were there protesting the takedown of the statue, then the left would have been happy and the right side of the fence would have been all pissed off. There's no winning. He condemned them both. Good morning, pal. Them both. And he still gets flack because he wasn't strong on the white supremacy issue. Yeah. There's nothing he's going to be able to do to win this. Doesn't matter what he says. It doesn't matter what he does for this particular situation. Every time he opens his mouth, it's wrong for somebody. And that, people want it in office, supposedly. Jason, so when Trump denounces all violence based on politics, it's not good enough. Of course. Of course. Countdown to TYT and virtue signaling has become... Exactly, because the Young Turks are going to be virtue signaling all over the fucking place. I will say, though, the fact that they used torches, tiki torches or no, was kind of vaguely reminiscent of the old style of KKK, the way they used to do things with torches. The only thing they didn't do was show up in their usual robes. Of course, Richard Spencer is a white nationalist, and he is not a KKK white supremacist. And yes, I keep making that distinction because there is a distinction in between the two groups. Period. El Chapo, seeking new lawyers. And this I can edit. New York AP, Mexican drug lord and escape artist Joaquin El Chapo Guzman wants to hire new lawyers in his U.S. drug trafficking case, but there's questions about how they'll get paid. Guzman is set to appear Monday in federal court in Brooklyn, where a judge is expected to address questions about whether he can replace his public defense lawyers with private ones. His current legal team has asked for assurances from prosecutors that if he hires the private lawyers, the government won't later seek forfeiture of any legal fees based on arguments the money came from his estimated $14 billion in drug profits. One of the private lawyers seeking to represent Guzman successfully defended John Jr. Gotti, son of the notorious organized crime family boss, in a 2005 trial. The younger Gotti walked free after an acquittal on a securities fraud count and a mistrial on more serious racketeering counts. In phone interviews with the Associated Press last week, the lawyer Jeffrey Lichtman said he was more concerned about getting the court to sign off on the change of lawyers than about legal fees. Mexico extradited Guzman in January to the U.S., where he pleaded not guilty to charges at his drug trafficking operation. The Sinaloa cartel laundered billions of dollars and oversaw a ruthless campaign of murders and kidnappings. The defense has claimed that he's being held in inhumane and overly restrictive conditions at a high-security jail in Manhattan, known for housing alleged mobsters and terrorists. The government has argued that his strict jail conditions are appropriate for someone who escaped from prison twice in Mexico, including once through a mile-long, 1.6-kilometer-long tunnel dug to the shower in his cell. Prosecutors said that even while he was behind bars in Mexico, Guzman used coded messages, bribes, and other means to control the Sinaloa cartel and orchestrate his breakouts. Because he ain't stupid. You don't get to be a drug trafficker and, a mob boss for being stupid. Of course, then again, if you're like Capone and you forget to pay your taxes, you eventually get caught, but you're not for being a mobster. That's what we have in the chat. Cures for cancer and AIDS would be amazing. Of course, pharmaceutical companies would lose much revenue. Yeah. Jason, in Alabama, we hate the KKK so much that it's illegal to wear masks in public. Yeah. I mean, somebody, I think it was Skittles last night on Twitter, said that the KKK was nothing more than cosplayers at this point because they've had most of their power taken away from them, or he doesn't see them anymore. The KKK is still active. They're not militantly active. They're not belligerently active. They're not all over the place at all hours of the day because they're put on a watch list. They know they're being watched. They're trying to mind their P's and Q's as much as possible. This is why they're not as active as they used to be. Because let's face it, in their heyday, there wasn't anywhere you couldn't go where you didn't hear that the KKK had been somewhere doing something, right? Now you don't hear about it as much, even though they do show up to protests about the Civil War monuments being taken down because they're trying to preserve history. And I believe that history should be preserved. All aspects of history should be preserved. All right, our next story. All right. We know on a short bus. Sikhs search for home 70 years after the Pakistan-India split. And I put spit. Let me put the L there. That way it looks like split. This is Peshawar, Pakistan. The year was 1901. The British ruled the Indian subcontinent. Pakistan wasn't even a glimmer in the eye of its founder, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And Peshawar held the promise of work and adventure. Singh's grandfather would never return to his village, not even in 1947 when the Indian subcontinent was divided into majority Hindu India and Muslim Pakistan, generating one of the largest migrations in modern history and unleashing a brutality that left few untouched as mobs of Hindus and Muslims turned on each other. Singh's family is neither Hindu nor Muslim, but Sikh, a religious minority in both countries. In the 70 years since partition, they have waged a secessionist uprising in India, demanding outright independence for India's Punjab state, where they dominate. They have felt increasingly less at home on either side of the border, but particularly so in recent years in overwhelmingly Muslim Pakistan, as they too have become victims of local Taliban violence. Singh said poverty kept his grandfather in Peshawar, located at the foot of the famed Khyber Pass, and dominated by fiercely independent ethnic Pashtun tribesmen. After all, said Singh, history in the Northwest. For a time in the 18th century, they oversaw a dynasty. Their capital was Pakistan's eastern city of Lahore. It was a Sikh ruler, Ranjit Singh, who built Peshawar's infamous Bala Hisar fort, an imposing walled fortress that some historians say is as old as the city itself, which traces its origins back more than 2,000 years. Today, Sikhs are among Pakistan's smallest minorities. They are easily identifiable because of their tightly wound and often colorful turbans, and because they share the surname Singh. The CIA fact book estimates that 3.6% of Pakistan's 180 million people are non-Muslims, including Sikhs, Christians, and Hindus. Yep, segregation. Exactly, Jason. Identity politics at work, segregation of the Indian subcontinent. Today, Sikhs are battling with the Pakistan government for ownership of dozens of Sikh temples that they call gurdwaras. While it is slow going, they have managed to reclaim some of the buildings. Many were abandoned in 1947 and taken over by Muslims who arrived from India. The Pakistan government, which took over the buildings after 1947, allowed the squatters to remain. In a congested neighborhood in Peshawar's old city, Singh stepped through large steel gates and opened onto a sweeping courtyard. It no longer resembled a house of worship, but Singh said it was once a vibrant gurdwara attended by hundreds of Sikhs. Now 2 families call it home. Who heads a council representing the Sikhs in Pakistan said that since his homeland began to turn toward radical Islam, particularly the Pashtun heartland, young Sikhs have been looking to leave. They want to go to another country, not to India or Pakistan, he said, but every country eyes them with suspicion. Even Indians, he said, see his Pakistani passport and question his intentions, suggesting he wants to agitate for Sikh secessionism, the battle that resulted in Indira Gandhi's death and a dream still held by many Sikhs on both sides of the border. Extremism worsened after the 2001 invasion of Afghanistan by U.S.-led coalition, he said. The tribal regions were gradually overtaken by the Taliban, and in 2013, several Sikhs were killed, their limbs severed. The brutality of the killings and the threats sent thousands fleeing Pakistan and Singh. Today, Pakistan's intolerant use blasphemy, a crime that carries an automatic death penalty, as a weapon against minorities and fellow Muslims alike. That is why we have a fear in our hearts that this law can be used against us, he said. The mere accusation of blasphemy can incite mobs to violence. In the last 40 years, we have been facing the boom boom, mimicking the sound of explosions in every city of Pakistan, said Singh. In a long time, we have not heard any sweet sounds in our Peshawar, but we still love our city. That problem there. But, you know, Islam is the religion of peace, y'all. They can get along perfectly with everybody else, as long as everybody else kowtows to Islam, right? Right. Let me get me a little bit more coffee before I read the next story. That was one of the things after 9/11 that a lot of people noticed, that you know the difference between a Sikh or a Muslim, or they didn't care because there was some violence against Sikhs after 9/11. Nothing to do with Islam. They don't follow the religion, they have their own. Muhammad should be called Davros. Yeah. The religion of peas. All right, the last story is a sad story, but one that needs to be told as well. Thousands uprooted as floods kill 143 in India and Nepal. Hundreds have died in a torrential rain, floods, and landslides in neighboring India during the monsoon, which hits the country's southern tip in early June and sweeps across the nation, lasting into September, which means they still have a ways to go. At least 143 people have died and thousands have fled their homes as monsoon floods swept across Nepal and India, officials said Monday, warning the toll could rise as the extent of the damage becomes clear. 3 days of relentless downpours sparked flash floods and landslides that have killed at least 70 in Nepal and 73 across northern and eastern India. Around 200,000 are living in emergency camps in Assam, in northeast India, which suffers frequent flooding during the annual monsoon rains. Another 15,000 have had to leave their homes in the eastern state of Bihar, which borders Nepal, and where one official said 7 rivers in Bihar were at dangerous levels. You've just been linked footage from the hit and run incident. All right. I'm going to give you a wrench, Panda, and I need you to link that to me in the live stream, please. All right. Thank you. I mean, we have hurricanes here in the West. They have monsoons over there. So, you know, this is the fall type of year between August and October. There's always a tumultuous time for weather. Okay. And I will give you 2 seconds. You know, weather is nuts around this time of year, no matter where you live. I mean, here on the East Coast, there's always going to be hurricane, you know, it's hurricane season over here on the East Coast and in the Gulf of Mexico, and also in the Pacific. We always have to watch the air currents and the way the air pressure builds up and everything to make sure we don't get swept up in any of these. Because, I mean, nobody wants to get of a hurricane. Nobody wants to be, you know, tossed about or even, you know, seriously injured. What is that? Here we go. It was live footage. Let me see if I can move this over here so you guys can hear that a little bit better. Let me make sure I have this turned up. All right, it is turned up. And let me see here. Make this a little wider so I can get to the play button. Yeah. And there you have it. That is the accident, and I'm not going to play it again. The second video is a better angle. Okay, is the second video a little further? Oh, there's the second video. Okay. All right, here we go. Yeah, it does look deliberate. Mr. Mad Panda, it does look deliberate.
Go, 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 go.
He backed up way too fast. Yeah, he is. This looks like another angle still. Oh, this is after the accident. Okay, yeah. So yeah, there is that. Just another day in paradise. Good morning, Rhetorical. I mean, good morning, Seamus. How you doing? Yeah, the backing up part makes me think it could have been deliberate as well. I mean, you know, it's still speculation. They are going to investigate it under domestic terror laws and see if he does violate any hate crimes. And everything from here is aftermath, and then a bit of stuff on the driver. Yeah. I'm going to be following the story, and as it develops, I'm probably going to tweet out updates or amass another bit of information for another blog post. Because this is something that needs to be, you know, brought out there, but not brought out there, including the left-right rhetoric. The facts need to be displayed out there. Rhetorical. They're also investigating whether or not he acted alone as far as the planning goes. Okay. That's the thing. His mother reports that the last thing she heard from him was that he was going to an alt-right rally in Virginia. And then she didn't hear anything else from him. What makes me suspicious is I cannot find a trace of him on social media anywhere. I look for him on Twitter, Facebook, I mean, anywhere possible that I can imagine. So, you know, oh, I'm getting ready to cough. Hold on. I mean, he's in his 20s. Who do you know in their 20s doesn't have any kind of social media presence? It's too much of a coincidence. It's too freaking weird. It doesn't make any sense. Have social media presence before, he might have taken down all of his pages before he did this. And if he did, then that would be a sign that it's deliberate. I mean, how else can you, I mean, we're speculating at this point. Mad Panda, there is info later in the chain saying that the driver was being assaulted right before the accident. Ah, the Antifa before, okay. All right, so we're still, the only thing we haven't ID'd yet is the woman that he hit, because there were stories that I found that I linked to my blog that said that she was a counter-protester, but it didn't say that she was linked to any of the groups there. I heard his Facebook was closed after the event, but I haven't seen the proof of it. Me either. I haven't been able to find him. I haven't been able to find archives or anything. Could be. I mean, if it was closed after the event, it could probably have been closed so they could gather evidence and get more of a profile on him. Because, you know, once it's on the internet, it's on the internet. Somebody's going to find it somewhere. Good morning, Futter. And being the dummy that I am this morning, I experienced all sorts of... I closed this down before I got to the shout-outs. Let me come over. There we go. All right, so we're going to do shout-outs. The reason this is out so hard is because at least 5 anti-fags rushed the car with baseball bats and such. Another video further down. Okay. I'll amass all that and see what I can do about, you know, releasing some more of it during the day or retweeting some of the stuff. But I will keep the link in mind. Or go ahead, if you still have Discord open, put it in the TMB newsroom, and I'll take a look at that further on. Because that's something that I want to look further into. Let me see. Shout-outs this morning. CG Meetup. sometimes it's good to, have a change of pace. And I do have all sorts of stuff on my subscription feed. CG Meetup is computer graphics. They do animated shorts. And the animated shorts are not just channel specific. They highlight a lot of computer graphics artists and a lot of animated shorts. So please check out CG Meetup. Huffle Ruff is new on the scene. She does Let's Play, she does commentary, and she does speed paint. Y'all check out Huffle Ruff. She's got a little bit of everything on her channel. Jagen Political is another one. He does a lot of live streams, political commentary, and things of that nature. So if you want to check him out, that link is available as well. Needlemouse Productions, having to do with Marvel and DC, both comic books, comic book movies, and also animated series on the television or online. He seems to have the inside track on a lot of stuff, and he does have a lot of top 10 lists as well. He's very succinct in what he does, and he's very easy to listen to, and he's very detailed. And those are the 4 shout-outs for the morning. Nobody sent me any live stream events, even though there's one that's nagging at me this morning, because I know there's one tonight, but I can't remember. I am so brain farting. There's a live stream event sometime tonight. I've got no clue. Keep an eye out. There's lots of live streams going on sometimes on Mondays. There's 2 or 3. There's 4 or 5. Like I said, I'm brain farting. Jason, don't you have a live stream tonight? That would be about 8 o'clock my time. That's Eastern. I think you do. I can't quite remember. Let me see. Let's see. Other things. I think that is about it. Usually there would be a dumb moment in media, but I think I pointed out a couple of inconsistencies with some of the stories that I was reading that probably could consider. Yep, you did one with Mitch this morning, and I will tweet that out after I take a look at it so we can get you a little more exposure. Let me see. Let me see. My brain just does not want to work. I am going to start working on presentations for the live stream series Fire and Fury, where I start covering North Korea. I'm going to start with the resolutions. And Mr. Mad Panda has helped me with the reporting this morning, guys. I appreciate it. He's my panda on the spot. There it is. Yep. Jason Brazael has his pub meeting on his channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 7 p.m. Central. Y'all go check him out. I will be updating the description to include that. I know I was forgetting something. My brain just isn't working this morning. So you guys have a great morning. And as I usually say, let me bring this thing up. Yay, it's not covering my face for once. As I usually say, may your coffee ever flow, may your caffeine be ever strong, and may you try and have a marvelous Monday. But after all, it is Monday. See you guys in Discord. Coffee Club usually starts before I even get there. Ciao.